it makes me want to embrace change in my life more. It made me fight for what I want to do in life. And I kept thinking, well, that's what I was trying to do the whole time I was recovering, was to be an inspiration to you first and then to everyone else. You see, that change for me isn't something scary anymore. And I want to just start there because in caregiving, you have to know that it involves change. That no 2 days will be the same. And in being someone who receives care, I can tell you for a fact, no 2 days are the same. One day you're feeling a certain way, and the next day you're feeling completely opposite. One day you're really up and high and just ready to fight, and another day you're feeling weary. And so that change and that shift from daily things happening, we have to learn to be patient with that and to be able to accept change. So I wanted to start with that word change, and you'll see how I'm connecting the dots. And I want to talk about, did it go away? Okay. How I had to learn that all the changes I experienced with myself and with my mother, it was all about the season I was in. You know, and I kept going to the scripture and thinking about Ecclesiastes, and I said, you know, this is where I need to begin. There's a purpose to all of this. And I have to stay there and understand what's happening, because if not, everything around me would overwhelm me. It would frustrate me. And it would frustrate the people giving me care and to the one that I was actually helping to be a caregiver for. And so I want you to really think about the seasons that will happen as you are aging. I remember telling my grandfather that, you know, I was a young child, I would always go up to him and say, "You so old, Pop?" And he would say, "Well, just keep waking up." And now I'm at that stage where in the room, I might be the senior in the room, right? And I'm like, "You're not over 50, you're not over 50, you're not old, okay?" And I'm realizing he was so right. Just keep waking up. But you know what I enjoy? Waking up. And I didn't understand what he was trying to tell me, but I understand that now there are seasons we're going to go through in life. But this word change, it can be so intimidating. I used to resist change. You know why? I like everything organized. I like everything a certain way. I want to make sure that I plan every day out. We can tell you I keep a note on my phone that tells us what we're doing almost the entire day. Now, I'm not so rigid that I don't understand things don't go as planned, but I do have a plan, and that's how I've operated, especially when I was a school principal. There was no way I could go into that building and not know what I needed to do that day, how to take care of those students and those teachers in that building. And so planning was important. I resisted change, y'all. I said, well, I don't want change. You say change is good, you go first. You tell me how it worked for you, and I might try it next year. Like, I was that hesitant to change. And that's because I could choose to change. You know, there are days I said, "Tori, can you not curl the top so high? Can you make the back look?" You know, I'm giving him all these directions, and he's like, "I'm doing the best I can." Look, right? I'm like, "Oh, is it time for color? I got a little bit." He said, "Just let it go, do what you gotta do." So I'm always trying to think about the changes I control. See, one day I woke up and I said, "You know, it's so hard to walk on Jack and Jill, going in that school building and trying to walk 5,000, 10,000 steps a day." My doctor said, "If you lose weight, walking on those legs, it'll be much easier." And I said, "You talking about the D word? You mean I gotta go on a diet?" And he said, "Well, whatever you want to call it." And I said, "Okay, I gotta do it because it's for my health." And I'm from outside of New Orleans, Louisiana. Y'all know food is life. We don't eat to live. We live to eat, unfortunately. And so I said, "I'm gonna try." And I looked at him and I said, "You gotta help me, because I know what he likes to eat, right?" And I said, "Okay, I'm gonna do it." So Sunday night we make all the salads and we plan out the meals. And I go to, you know, the next day on Monday and I have that salad and I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm on the way, this is good." But see, I went home for dinner and he would have some shrimp pasta. And he would say, "Here's your salad." And I would say out loud, "You know what? I'm gonna start this diet thing next Monday. Give me some of that pasta." Now here's the question. Why do we only wait till Monday to start something like a diet? Why can't I start Tuesday? because I needed 7 days to recover. And I was like, I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna get myself ready. And I kept doing that every week. Am I the only one that has done that? I know I'm not alone. I know I'm not. Thank y'all for being my people with that, right? But when the doctor looked at me and said, if you want to keep working and have your stamina grow, you're gonna have to do this. And I made a point, I made a commitment, and I said I'm gonna do it. I lost 50 pounds in 6 months because of making a commitment to this change. Now, COVID is trying to bring me back, but I'm trying to fight what happened during that time, or am I the only one every time you pass the pantry, you grab the snack? And I said, I thought because I couldn't physically open the pantry door and get the snack, I wouldn't eat. No, I kept going to him like, can you bring me some of those things, you know? Because we had nothing else to do. It was a change that happened in our lives. And that's change we choose. If we don't like it, guess what we can do? Abandon it. Get rid of it. Postpone it. Well, what happens when change chooses you? Did I have any say-so on this change? Did I know it was coming? Did I have an ability to say, not today, maybe tomorrow? No, it happened. And guess what? Change chose every single one of you. March of 2020. Pandemic. We didn't have any say-so. We couldn't tell the pandemic, hold up, I'm not ready for it yet. I still got some trips to take and some restaurants to visit. All that was taken away in a weekend. And without any of our input, that change happened. And now you were left to figure out, how do I manage this change before it manages me? It feels like that when you're in the role of caregiver. And you start thinking about these changes are happening to the loved one that I have in my life, and I have no say-so over it. I can't stop it. I can't make it go away. I can't bring them back to who they were when they were 25, even though that's where my mother thinks she is. It just doesn't happen. So now we got to figure out, what do we do when change chooses us? Now, here's what I want you to take away from the change before I get into the nuts and bolts about the caregiving. So, I always had the mindset that change was not beneficial to me. But now I know it's transformational to me. I've become the best version of myself. I call me Merlyna 2.0, new and improved. How many of y'all remember that TV show, The Bionic Woman, or Bionic Man? Well, that was an actor and an actress. Right here before you is the real $6 million woman. That's about how much these prostheses cost, I can tell you. But I'm not living a little role for TV. This is my life. And this change has taught me it's transformational. It can bring you to a better place when you learn and grow and get out of your comfort zone. Stop being comfortable. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because that's what life is. It will keep you uncomfortable, but you got to figure out how to make it through those moments. But this is the biggest thing that I got from it. When I was going through the change, tell me if I'm the only one that said some of these things. I remember sitting down, when you used to have to write your bills out with a check. You couldn't pay them online and put it on automatic payment and forget about it. And I would sit, we still do it for my mother as well. And I was writing checks and I said, I can't believe I get to pay all these bills. You know, I have to pay all these bills. And then I would say, you know what? I can't believe we have to go to that place. You know, and my daughter was a dancer, and I was like, I can't believe I have to go to another dance recital 3 hours of my life. I'll never get back. But I love seeing her. But you watch her for 3 minutes, and then you watch other people's children you don't know for 3 hours, right? I have to go. And I would say to her, I can't believe we have to make this trip to go do this thing, and I'm so not wanting to do it. And then I kept thinking, you know how many people wish they had the money to pay their bills? And they have to think about, if they wrote the check, was there money in the account? You know how many people wish they could see their child dance on a stage and then witness other people's children, just sharing their gifts with the world? You know how many people wish they would do things that they can't do? And I said, you know what? I'm looking at those things in life that I have to do as a burden. It's something that I really don't feel like doing. But what I better do is start thinking about that differently. Because I started putting myself in the shoes of other people who were wishing they could do. So what I'm regretting is someone else's prayer that they get to make it happen. And I said, this is the best thing that I can find. Rick Godwin is someone that I read when I was trying to figure out how to maneuver my new life. And he said one reason people are resistant to change is because they focus on what they have to give up instead of what they have to gain. And I'm going to be quite honest. That's the first thing I told my husband, everything he had to give up. When that ventilator was removed, I said, look, you could be moving an hour away from your home. You're going to give up your family, your friends, your career, all because you're going to be my caregiver as well as my husband. Like, you're giving up everything. And I want to be the reason you walk around angry saying, look at all I gave up just for her. And that one day, I still remember it so vividly, y'all. My heart just beams when I think about it. He looked at me and he said, you keep telling me everything I have to give up. But here's what I know, I have only much to gain. Because I'm marrying the most incredible, phenomenal, and amazing woman of God. And you know what I told him, y'all? I looked at him and I said, you so right there. I know I was I'm not, but I also told him, guess what? I want to make sure I am that kind of wife, the one that you deserve. That will never live a moment of regret. And that together, we will make this life like a dream. Because we have each other's back. And there are things that I do for him, and there are things that he does for me. His just happens to be more. But together we support each other because we don't focus on what we give up. We focus on what we have to gain. How many of you, when you are introduced to a change, the first thing you say is, how much harder do I have to work? How much time will this take? Be honest. Will I fail at this? I'm not quite sure I can do this. Oh wait, if I do that, I don't know. It's going to take away from something else I like to do. See, we're focusing on all those things we have to give up, but you're gaining so much more. So you need to shift your perspective to what you gain from going through things and start looking for it. I started saying, what did I gain from going through this process of becoming a caregiver while being cared for? Like, I'm gaining this whole nother level because I know how my mother feels when we try to do things for her that she doesn't want us to do. She's not ready for us to do it yet. So I have to be patient. And I have to be patient with him because I realize he doesn't read my mind. And I need to communicate better. See, I learned all those things. And I kept thinking, it's not about what I have to do anymore, it's what I get to do. Start saying that. The next time you encounter something that you're putting off, you're procrastinating, you don't want to do it because it's not something you plan to do, or it's something that might burden you, change it to, this is what I get to do because someone else wishes they could. And see if that perspective doesn't shift for you. Like, I'm thinking right now, how much as caregivers, you need to spend time on you. That's hard for me to say because I don't like getting away from my husband. But I do tell him, once a week, you can go play golf. That's about 4 hours, y'all. Because see, I like him, I don't just love him. I said, that's about all I can take of you not being here. Not because I need you, because I want you here. And he's like, okay, can I do it twice a week? No, you're pushing your luck. But I need him to take care of him. Because without him taking care of him, he won't be any good for me. And I was so focused on getting back in that school building, y'all. All I could think about was work. I don't know if anybody's like me. I'm a workaholic. I still am. And he said to me one day, we have to connect and make sure that we take care of our relationship as well as taking care of our needs, medically, physically, all right, our emotional needs. I said, what do you want to do? He said, something fun. Now, my first thought of fun was, we're going shopping? And he said, no, it won't be that. I said, well, what is it? He said, let's go to the movies. Now, here's the secret, and he's heard it, so he knows. I'm not a movie person. I can sit at home on my sofa and watch a movie, then if I fall asleep, I'm at home, right? But I couldn't tell that incredible man, no, he wanted to spend time with me to recharge himself. I said, let's go. And as we're driving there, I only had Hansel and Gretel. I did not have Jack and Jill yet. I was still in a wheelchair. And I said to him, I'm ready. And he said, wait, you look a little nervous while we're driving there. Is it because you're still in a wheelchair? I said, no, that place is very accessible. I know the theater will accommodate me. And he said, well, why do you look like that, worried or bothered? I said, well, to be quite honest, you're going to think it's crazy. He said, what is it? I said, well, I only go to the movies for one thing. What is it, y'all? See, I told y'all. I go for the popcorn. Y'all know Hansel and Gretel can't handle making foods. So I said, how am I going to eat popcorn? He said, he's so incredible. He said, don't worry about it, dear. I'll feed it to you. Yeah, y'all fall for that romantic stuff, right? The movie came on. I didn't get one kernel of popcorn. He was so into that movie and put that popcorn, and I was just sitting there like, let's get a kernel. And at the end of the movie, with his empty container, he said, forgot all about giving you some popcorn. I said, yes, you did, but that won't happen again. You see, here's a change shift. I didn't think about how I needed to train him next time or tap your arm when I want some. And I said, I want to figure this out. See, this is a person receiving care, trying to still hold on to your independence. I said, you see, on the left, I don't know if you can see it, on my left, but you're right. There's a picture of me with a spoon inside of this thing that I use for everything, my universal cuff. And I said, put a spoon in there. Tear the top off that bag of popcorn. And when we get in that theater, I'm going to eat popcorn on my own terms. That's what I did. I said, take a picture for my Facebook. You know how many people follow me for inspiration? I can hear the people behind me. Why is that man taking a picture of that lady eating popcorn? See, they didn't know my story. Right. They don't know that you better celebrate the little victories to get to the big victories. I ate that popcorn. I called all my friends and said, y'all, I ate popcorn and the movies by myself. You see that little glimpse of independence? It meant this much to me. And as a person receiving care, that's what it's about. You hold on to the things that you can do. And you really want to tell the person who loves you and wants to do it all for you, let me give it a try. And sometimes that's what it's got to be about, y'all. Being able to balance that. So now I want to just take you to a little, well, why are you acting up? It's technology, y'all know that, right? Yeah. But it won't go at all. This isn't my computer, y'all. That's why I'm trying to figure it out. But I'm going to let the man who does everything go ahead and figure that one out. Try to escape, and if not, we'll go get the guy. I'm moving on to the role of being a caregiver. There you go. Get to the one that says why. Do that one. Double click on it. Hit the slideshow from that slide. View. Isn't this what always happens when you got something planned out and doesn't go as planned? Yeah. Watch God work it out for me. And if not, I'll just use them like that. So this is a picture of myself as the little girl with the ringlets and my mother when I was 8 years old. And never in my life at that age did I envision what life would be like in the future for me, both for myself and for my mother. And I kept going back to why. When my mother started having physical challenges and not being able to do everything for herself, she lives alone still. We're about 35 minutes away from her. And both of my siblings live in Dallas, Texas. She lives in Louisiana. So I am the only one there. Her siblings are all gone except for 2 who live out of state. All of her family and friends who were her age have gone on. And so she is left basically without anyone that she was connected to or had a relationship with. And so I kept saying to myself, why is this season coming right now? When I'm dealing with so much and trying to figure things out, what's really happening? And then I kept thinking about the reason that I will say yes to being her caregiver to whatever capacity I'm able to do, along with the help of my husband, is because I know why I'm doing it. And you gotta really connect to that. when you step into the role of caregiver, please don't do it out of obligation. I'm her only daughter, so I'm the only one left here to do this. If I went in with that mindset, I'd be overwhelmed every single day. But what I said to myself is, when I was this little girl, she cared for me and loved me unconditionally. She made sure we had everything we wanted and needed in life. And so in the next role, which I often tell her, our roles are reversed now. I'm the mom telling you what to do, and you're the child saying, no, I'm not doing it. But it's because of the love that I have for her that I choose to step in that role, not because I'm obligated to, not because I'm the only one here. Because every single day I walk into this saying, why am I doing this? Because I love my mother unconditionally. And she would do anything in her power, and she did when I became ill. She was at that hospital every single day at 72 years old. She and my father never left my side. When they did, they made sure Tori was there and my daughter was there. And that was it. And so I don't have to question why I'm doing this. But I need you to stay connected to why you step into a role as caregiver. Because if not, you will become frustrated, overwhelmed, and burnt out. Every single day. Because like the comedian told me, it ain't for the weak, right? It's something that you have to really want to do. And that's what I decided to do. I'm thinking about, if y'all could see it, the screen is a little washed out, but I don't know what my mom was thinking in that clown costume. It's got like 4 pom-poms all in the front. But here's what I need you to know. I never wore the same clothes twice, all the way through high school. Because my mother was someone that sewed. She was an educator, but every night she made me a new outfit for the next day. Every single night. The kids would say, you haven't worn the same things twice. Because my mama makes my clothes. See the kind of relationship we have that I feel like I have to do this, I get to do this. It's not an obligation for me. Now, you know I had the best model for how to be a caregiver, right? I got to look at what Tori did for me and how he did it and how patient. I mean, he is patient with me. And then I said, I'm not as difficult as my mom, and he would just go, no, you're not. But I know I can be demanding because I love life and I want to do everything. And he's like, slow down. I'm like, I'm so excited. He said, I know. And so I started thinking about the model that I have in him allows me to now know how to go forward. But guess what I have in him? A support system, not just for me, but for her. So as a caregiver, I'm going to tell you right now, you need to know your support system. Over half the caregivers will sit around when someone says, can I help you with anything? And they'll say, no, I got it. Because they don't want to admit that they're at that point, where I just need a little break. I need a little time. They're ready to say, no, I'm okay, right? And so I learned from Tori that he would never express to me when he needed a little time. So I had to start thinking, I need to offer it to him so that he has it. And when people would come to him and say, hey, I want to take your wife out to lunch, and if that's okay with you, and you can go ahead and hang out with your friends, most times, you know what he said? No, we're good. He did not want to leave me for concern that they may not know how to care for all of my needs. And the worst thing in the world is he didn't want me to be uncomfortable with someone having to do something for me that he does. We had that conversation. And so I started thinking, how many times do I have a friend who says, I'll go bring your mother her groceries? And I say, no, we got it. And I'm like 45 minutes in the grocery store because she's changing the list while I'm in the store. 45 minutes to get to her house. And I told this person, we got it. And then I'm thinking, I don't really have it because Tori's got to drive me, put everything in the grocery basket, and bring me to her home. Why didn't I just say, I accept and receive the help? I have a friend who says, I will cook several meals and you can bring it to your mom and she won't have to worry about cooking. You know what I told her? That's all right. She's a picky eater. Don't worry about it. Why didn't I receive that help? You see, sometimes as a caregiver, we don't realize we better accept that support and let people be there for us because you are not able to do this alone. And those of us who have to do it alone, guess what? We will end up feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, and burnt out quicker than anything. And then where will that leave your loved one? So I want you to identify in your head who is your support system. I think he's doing it again. He'll work on that. So right now, is there anyone that doesn't know who they can turn to if they needed just a little extra support? Because at this moment, you need to start thinking that through. You also need to start thinking, I am now going to be someone that accepts an offer from someone that says, I'm here for you. And as the sister said this morning, people will tell you, call me if you need anything, girl. And what do? I'm not calling her and bothering her. I know her life's busy. So what I love is when people come up to me and say, I have something, I'm going to do it for your mom this weekend. Let me know what time. I don't get to say no. And I'm like, that really works. You really getting on track, huh? Just do task manager.
Yeah.
I won't let you escape. Wow. That time. That one right there, care receiver. So this is 85-year-old Rosie is what we call her. Her name is Rose, and she is truly my flower on earth, right? But let me tell you about this. I'm gonna speak personally here. See the independence thing? That's big. They allowed her to renew her driver's license last July. Y'all clapping, but y'all never seen her on the road. All right. And she is now limited. We only allow her to go 30 minutes from her home. That's as far as I'm gonna let her go. She's trying to go a little further because she likes that place with the machines that go ding, ding, ding. She's not going there, right? No ma'am. Because it's across a bridge and a highway, no ma'am. But let me tell you what that's about. My brother said to me, go over to her house today when you go and take her keys away. I said, the devil is a lie. I'm not doing that because she says every single day, the last thing I have is the car that your dad and I bought, and that I get to still drive it and do what I need to do for me when you're not around. She's holding on to what? Independence. And I have to say, I can't argue with her because there's so many times he tells me that there's something I shouldn't do, and I say, well, yes, I'm going to try because I'm trying to become more independent. And so when my brothers don't understand that I should be telling her everything, how to live her life, what to do every minute of her life, I said, y'all have to understand this is what she's holding on to because mentally she is still very sharp. And physically she may not be able to do it, but that's the last thing she's holding on to. And I'm saying when it becomes unsafe for her, I will do that. But I got a tracker on her car. I know where she is. I know the speed limit she's going. I know exactly how long she stays there. And she's okay with that. Because if she were to ever get lost, I can find her. And I want you to think about that independence. Then there's that uncertainty. Do you know that she wonders every day what will her life be like in 5 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now? Because she is experiencing the decline that comes with aging. I said, Mom, we're all aging. She said, but you're not aging as fast as me. I said, you're 85. I'm 57. We have a little gap, you know? But the uncertainty for her becomes overwhelming. And so I need you to be patient if you're the one giving care and understanding that because they sleep at night, and they wake up worrying about what the next day will be, that's their reality. And she said, sometimes I just wake up and say, am I going to be living in this house? Or do I have to leave my house? That she's holding on to, because it's the house my father built for her, the house we grew up in. She won't be able to be there much longer by herself. She knows that. But the uncertainty of what life will be like is weighing heavy on her. I want you to think about how often they might feel overwhelmed. There are decisions they want to make. There are things they'd like to do. She wants to do what she did at 50 right now. My husband and I were going out for my birthday on September 9th, and I know she hates steak, and we were going to a steakhouse, so I spent time with her for lunch. But that night she kept calling, and I knew she was calling. I was in the restaurant. I knew nothing was wrong, because if something's wrong, she calls my phone notorious if I don't answer. I said, she just wants to know where we are tonight. And when I did call her back about 20 minutes after, and she said, I was just seeing if you went out for your birthday. I told you we were going to the steakhouse. You don't like steak. And she said, it must be nice to go on a date. Yeah, it is. And she said, I'm going to go on a date with myself. See, I knew that little sarcasm, she didn't intend that to ruin my birthday. She was feeling that overwhelmed that she can't do what she used to do.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you don't have to go on a date by yourself. We're going to take you on a date. That wasn't good enough. She said, but I want to do it by myself. I said, well, you can go to the grocery store, Walgreens, Walmart, or Winn-Dixie. Pick your choice. But I know that she's feeling overwhelmed by how much she can't do anymore. And I'm okay with that, because I'm going to work through that with her. I'm going to be patient. And then I want you to think about relationships. The relationship between you and the person you give care to is the most important thing that you will do anytime you become a caregiver. It's the relationship. I love her unconditional. She loves me unconditionally. But the relationship has shifted from what it used to be, the mother to daughter. It's flipped. And I'm telling her, no, I don't want you doing that. I'm going to come over and help you. Mom, stop. I don't need to. Don't say that. Don't speak it. I'm the one doing that now. And our relationship isn't strained, because she knows that I'm saying it from a place of love. If they ever feel like you're doing this and you're frustrated every minute that you're doing it, they will tell you what? Don't come back. I don't need to know. And so I'm always worried and thinking about relationships. My husband and I were listening to a very famous doctor on television. I'm not saying his name because, that's not why I'm here to do it. But this doctor said that there is no way that someone can be a caregiver and a husband or a wife and have a loving relationship. There was a couple on there where one of the people had just become disabled and they were engaged, and he said, you're going to have to choose whether to be this person's wife or their caregiver. You cannot be both. And y'all know I started writing emails and tweeting and doing everything to say what you said is an untruth, because I live it every single day. We love each other. We love being with each other. And he is my primary caregiver. And we have learned to make those roles work. And I love my mother, and I'm her caregiver. No, we're not the same kind of love, but it's still a deep kind of love. And I didn't understand why this person, who by the way is not disabled and is not a caregiver, could speak to what we can do. So I want you to be mindful of that. There will be people out there putting things in your head. There's no way you can do that, work full time and raise your kids up. You do what God gives you the strength to do. And I pray to him every single day to make sure that happens. Come on, work for me. All right. Caregiver responsibilities. These are just a few. And I'm going to show you a long list of the ones that I brainstormed and share with my siblings. And I'm going to ask you to see if you relate to them. So medically, you have to be in charge of their medical care. I have to know her medication. I have to make sure she gets to every doctor's appointment. I have to make sure that I'm listening in the doctor's appointments, because she comes out with something totally different than what the doctor said. I'm just honest. I'm also allowed to be on her medical portal so I can read the notes when she tells me don't come in the back. I got something private to tell the doctor. Girl, there is no privacy. I'm here for you. And I get to read the notes and give the truth. And I tell her that. I just read the notes. That's not what he said. She said, I knew. I was just trying to get it over on you. So medically, you do a lot. Legally, you need to make sure your papers are in order. If there needs to be a power of attorney, if there needs to be a medical plan, then you need to know what their wishes are. If something were to happen, it's difficult conversations to have. My mother said, I don't like talking about death. I said, well, all of us are going to go through that door. And I want to know what your wishes are, because I want to honor them. I talk about physically. I'm not able to physically help her, and she, thank God, physically is pretty okay with caring for herself and moving around. She's slower and slowing down, but she is able. But caregivers sometimes have to do transfers, wheelchairs, physical work, and you have to realize that if your body is not able to do that, that is the time you need to ask for support and help. And there are services out there. Cognitively, you need to understand mentally what is going on with the person you're caring for. Their cognitive needs. You need to be mindful of when that cognitive function declines. You need to be able to talk to doctors about, these are the things I'm noticing. She said the same thing 3 times to me in the same 24 hours. What should I be looking for? I'm always asking about that because I want to be sure that I'm able to function and help her out with her cognitive function. And then you need to find your resources and support. There are so many things out there that I didn't know were available. Meals on Wheels, the Senior Center, all those things that we never knew were available or accessible. But finding those out before you need them is the key. You can't wait till you need someone to bring meals to somebody to say, I want to get on the list. The list took almost 3 months to get on. So you need to start assessing what are the resources and support you might need down the line and get them ready. Because I know that there are things we have to put in place for her. Look at just a small list of the list that I generated. I'm going to read it because I know some of you in the back aren't able to see it. That I generated for my siblings when they said, so what exactly does it take to take care of Mom? I was like, I've been here for 26 years without either one of you. So I've been able to do all these things and more. But I'm going to tell you right now, these are the things. Her daily living tasks, she often needs assistance with some of those things. Transfers, I don't have that yet, but there are times Tori has to assist her getting in the car and getting out of it. Transportation, we bring her to every doctor's appointment. If not, I pay someone to drive her if we are out of town. Medical appointments, you need to be a part of them, to be part of the care plan. If they allow you to, please be there, because there are questions you need to ask that they may not know to ask. Finances, well, that's the one thing she won't turn over to me just yet. And I'm okay with that. Because I don't like living on a budget, and I'll be telling the girl, just spend your money, what you leaving it here for? But finances are a big part, and she's very aware of if her checking account is 1 penny off. That's how much she's into her finances. But I told her, whenever you're ready, you know, one of us, my brother is a CPA, he can take it over. So we have that in place. Grocery shopping, we do that twice a week because she always tells me her bananas are too yellow. I just bought bananas on Sunday, but I gotta bring some more on Wednesday because if they get too yellow, she read somewhere that yellow bananas are higher in sugar content and she's watching her sugar. So my daughter or myself will bring her green bananas. That's how I'm telling you. It can get overwhelming if you don't know their wishes. Just go with it. I'm talking about house cleaning. That's not me. I don't even clean my own house. I bought one of those little Roombas and I said, Tori, this is my way of helping you. I'm setting it around the house to clean the floors. But I do make sure that someone is able to do that because there are some tasks she no longer can do. Taking clothes out of the dryer, bending over, those are not things she can do. Medication, she's still very capable of doing that, but we put them in a pill pack and label everything. And I check to make sure when I go there daily. Food prep, she cooks. We don't want her to cook, but she doesn't eat many things that are not made by her. And so we've made it easy with bringing things that she can heat up and just do it really quick. But you gotta think about all this. Legal matters, I talked about it. Crisis management. What happens when they call you at 3 a.m. and say, I'm not feeling well? Like, what is your plan? What do you have in place? Let me be quite honest. I'm out of town right now, and I called her after lunch yesterday, doing my daily check-in. I left my daughter there as her contact. And I said, you know, if your grandmother calls you, you got to jump in like we do. And she said, you know me, I'm a tough love kind of girl, ready to get over it. We're not doing that. But she had an earache. It was kind of hurting behind her ear, and she said, I'm debating if I should call the ambulance. I said, for an earache? And she said, yeah, I know what that is. She'd already gone to the point that this earache was now connected to something else and something else and something else. Because you see, her mind easily gets overwhelmed. And she thinks sometimes it's the worst. And so I said, daughter, we'll talk her through this. We're not calling for an ambulance for an earache. The people will think we're nuts. But her thing was, I can't drive to the doctor, so the only thing I can do to get care is this ambulance. We took care of her needs. But I had to have that crisis plan in place. That if she calls me while I'm out of town, here are the people that I can contact. Safety, put their safety first. Everything that you do. Sometimes it's things that they don't like, but if it's done to keep them safe, do it. I told her, you'll be mad at me for one day, but you'll be safe. And I'm okay with that. Her laundry, like I said, that's part of the house cleaning, and communication with the family. So if you're in a family and you're caring for a loved one and you're not the only one who's a part of that family, you have to make sure you have a system to keep things going two-way. Because I'm always, my brother will tell you, I text 15 times a day. Here's what's happening with mom. Here's what I'm about to do. Here's what's going on. Oh, this happened just a minute ago. I want y'all to be informed. I never want them to say, I didn't know that was happening to mom. You didn't let me know. And so I tell her, I communicate with you and then I communicate with them. Because we're not going to have you calling everybody. I'm taking care of that. But communication is critical in what you do. Now, we were celebrating, and isn't she beautiful, y'all? We were celebrating Thanksgiving, and I said, let's just take a photo. I try to make things as normal as they used to be. And the first thing she said is, why you didn't buy me a shirt with a little neck thing across the front? Because my daughter had one by accident, and I had one. And so I said, just take the photo. I'm going to get you a shirt with a little neck thing going across the front. But the things she thinks about are not even things that I would ever think about. And so I'm learning from her. And Isaiah 40:31 has been a rock for me because I know where my strength comes from. I know that I might grow weary, but He's going to give me that strength. I also know that as I'm walking on this journey, I'm not going to fail because I'm doing what God has placed inside of me to do. I need you to just know that prayer is a big part of my daily walk, my hourly walk in this life. And there are times every minute I'm saying, I just said another prayer. Prayer for patience, prayer for guidance, prayer for strength. And before we walk in our house, I pray all of those things. Because I want to be sure I can be there for her and give her what she needs. Now, there are some times that I know this is the big thing, right? Control. They want control, and you want control. And you want things to go a certain way. Well, when you become a caregiver, none of that works. And if you control freaks like me, I'm the only one. Thank you for being honest. I'm a control freak, not for the point of trying to control others, but I want things to go a certain way so everybody's life can be joyful, especially hers. But this is what I had to learn, and I'm going to read it to you. See, there are times that you got to think about what you control and what are the uncontrollable, or you can be frustrated every minute. So the things I can't control is other people's actions. I can't control what my mama does. I can't control what my family does. My siblings do. I can't control how other people feel. I can only make sure I don't cause them to feel a certain way. I cannot control adversity. It happens. I cannot control anyone else's opinion of me, and actually their opinion of me is not my business. I'm doing the best that I can. And every day I can lay my head on the pillow and rest easy because I know I've done all that I can. So your opinion of me is not my business. Keep it to yourself. Other people's mistakes, I can't stop you from messing up. I can only be there to support you when you do. Here's what I control, my attitude. How I walk into this role as a caregiver. How I walk into this role as someone receiving care is about my attitude. And I control that. No one else can make me angry. I don't give them that kind of power. And so I need you to know that every day you get to choose one thing when you wake up in the morning, besides being grateful that you're still here. And that is how you're going to face the day ahead. And then my effort, I control how hard I work to get things done and to be there for my mother. My behavior, my actions, those are all things that I control. And when you start operating outside of that green circle, that's when you get frustrated. Stop trying to control things that are uncontrollable and focus on what God has blessed you to be able to control. And ask Him to guide you To be able to decipher what are the things you can do and what are the things you are not able to control. And then leave it there. Because that's the biggest frustration so many people have. As a caregiver, I'm going to hope that you remember to take care of you. I already talked about it. Lean on your faith and trust God's words, His plan, and everything for your life. Take care of your spiritual health first. There's no way I could do this if I were not strong in my faith and didn't have someone else in my life that made sure I stayed grounded in the Word. No way. Take care of your physical health. We were on the plane coming here, and I heard the person say, you know, if the oxygen in the plane goes out, be sure to put your mask on before you assist the other person. And I looked at Tori and I said, you're going to put my mask on first, right? And he was like, he didn't want to answer. He said, I'm going to follow what the flight attendant said. I said, you're right, because if you pass out, I can't put the oxygen mask on you. I can't even get out the seatbelt. So I had to understand that they got to take care of them to take care of me. I got to take care of me to take care of her. And so you need to make sure your physical health is what it needs to be. Take the time out for you. And mentally, please watch your mental health. If there's support you need, if you need to ask for someone, if you need to speak to someone, please don't let the stigma of mental health stop you from doing that. There are so many times I call this one friend who's doing the same thing that I'm doing, caring for her mother, and we have our session of an hour on the phone, and when I end, I say, you know what, girl, I owe you $500. That was a session. But she understands the walk that I'm walking. Find that person you can be honest with and say, you know, girl, today was a tough one. How do I get in? And she'll bring me right back to, you know why you do this. And we keep each other grounded and lifted. Now, this is me during the pandemic trying to do some self-care. What in the world was I thinking, right? I go on my patio and I have water behind my house on purpose because it's my peace to just be able to see the water. I can no longer go to the beach and walk on the sand, so I want to look at the water. Now, that same water washed into my house, Hurricane Ida, and destroyed everything that I own. And we were 11 months out of our home. But when we could come back, I said, you know what, this pandemic stopped me from moving and being active. And so I need to remember to do all these things. Eat right. Stop snacking. Stop eating when I'm stressed. Because that's when I overeat. I need to move. I went outside to walk away the pounds because I wanted the fresh air and I needed to move. And I said, I don't have to go anywhere, just to move and make time for myself and sleep. I have a nighttime routine now because I wasn't sleeping enough and it was impacting my health. And so I need you to remember all of those things about your self-care. Tips that I gave them all along the way, but the biggest one on this one that's a takeaway from me is release the guilt. Release the guilt. There's so many days like I'm here right now and I know she's calling me and she's gonna have something that's a need right now, but I have someone in place to step in, but I still feel like I wonder if I should have been there. And I have to release the guilt because I know she's cared for and she's safe. And she will be okay. And I think that's the biggest thing, because all the others I talked about, but the biggest thing is I want you to celebrate you if you become a caregiver. You have to be a caregiver. Why? Because you're doing the hardest job in the world, you're doing the best that you can. I have to tell myself every single day, I did it to the best of my ability, and I need to know. Build your resilience every single day. Set realistic goals for yourself. I can't do everything for my mother, so I've already known to let people know these are the things I can and cannot do. I have emotional moments, and I'm allowed to have them. I'm also going to learn about whatever disease or illness impacts her so that I can be her best caregiver. My skills, I need to learn what it takes to be a caregiver. I'm still learning, and I've been doing this for 3 years. I also need to learn to say no more to others. Because if there are things that don't align with who I am and what I'm supposed to do, I need to learn to say no, and that's tough for me. And there are times I'll say yes to things that I know I'm going to be overwhelmed by because I don't like disappointing people. I'm getting better at that. Accept help. Know your stressors, what pushes your buttons, and don't allow them to be in your life. And here's the biggest thing. Please stop trying to be perfect. Stop waiting for life to be perfect. Stop waiting for the perfect thing, the perfect time, because while you're waiting, life is passing you right on by. Nothing in life will be perfect. But do the best of your ability and pray for God's guidance, and you will be okay. that is how you're going to continue to build resilience. And Galatians 6, 9, and 10 is one that I definitely constantly reflect upon as I do this. And it's kind of cut off, so I'm not going to read it. But if you want to look that up, please do. It's been something that has grounded me and anchored me the entire time I've been someone who receives care and someone who gives care. I need it. I need the word to remind me daily of this walk that I'm on, to give me strength, but most of all, to strengthen those around me. Now, as I come to a close, right on time, even with tech issues, right? Clap up for that. Yeah. This was a celebration of my mother's 85th birthday. We took her to her favorite place in Biloxi, Mississippi. That machine going ding, 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 and all of that. My siblings all drove 9 hours from Texas so they could be here. Those are my two brothers way in the back, their wives and kids, and my great niece in the front, and my daughter is to my mother's right if you're facing the screen. We made shirts, my niece made shirts that say Rosie's 85th birthday, and this is what I want to end with. You know, there are these times that the people we're giving care to aren't ready to receive care. They're still holding on. When she walked into that place, we were all lined up in the front with our 85th shirt on, and she said, we expected her to just be ecstatic because her sons are here, her grandkids are here, and she said, I can't believe y'all gonna tell everybody this is I'm like, this is what she got from this? And she, let me tell you what she did. Every time somebody said, well, who's Rosie? Who turned 85? She pointed at me, one of my sisters. And I said to her, they won't believe it, but whatever you need to do. You see, this is a legacy that she has left, and it's all of us. And oftentimes we forget just what they did for us, so now it's time to do for them.
Yeah.
And whoever it is that you give care to, even if you're someone who receives care, all the things I shared today are things to make this journey just a little bit more manageable, just a little bit more loving, to strengthen you. And for her, I always tell her when she says, I don't know how you're going to do this, but I need this, this, and this. And I said, I got this. And I make it happen. If it's not me, I know my resources. And I get somebody there. And I have the best support system to back me up as well. So just know that you're doing what you can. You're living life like God wants you to live. You're loving and serving, which is the biggest thing for me. I served children all over my community, and now I get to serve someone who also was an educator for 45 years and served others. And so this service part, it fills my heart with joy, and I choose joy every time I get to do something that makes her life more meaningful, more manageable, and not overwhelming. It comes from your heart. It's all about love. And so what I say to you all is, you got this. And go forward knowing that I didn't tell you it would be easy. I just tell you that it's worth it. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you.